everybody. Welcome to the Jetset Physical Therapy Podcast. We got two special guests that I've actually been searching for a long time. Two people that fit the skill set of here. And we have Pac all the way to the far left here. He's a world traveler, right? And a true jet setter. Like we say we're the jet set company, but he actually is a true jet setter. We're the posers. And then we have Mikey right here. He is a credit card miles expert. So something we've been telling everybody about. If you listen to these two gentlemen, you'll travel the world for free. Or close to it.
Close to it.
Or at a discount.
Yeah.
At a discount. So, Mikey, just to start with you. How many credit card miles have you stocked up at this point? Because I was amazed when you told me.
Right now, across everything, probably like 600,000 or 700,000.
600,000 or 700,000. So,
Yeah.
put that in perspective. Like, what could that get you?
Well, I mean, depending on which rewards program it's with or which airline. So, say with Chase, depending on how you choose to redeem them, if you go through Chase or if you go through another partner, those can range anywhere from a cent to 1.5 cents per points in redemption value. So for just Chase, 300,000 points there, probably looking at close to like, I don't know, a few $1,000s worth of redemption, depending on how you split it up. So across that, I think when I did the math, it's closer to about 10 or 11,000, maybe
$1,000.
Yeah.
Of travel. Yeah. I think for 80,000, I flew my whole family out to Hawaii.
Yeah.
With hotel and everything. So you're set. You're gonna have some good trips coming up.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
And then, Pac, how many countries have you been to?
It's a lot. It's about half the world, which is a little bit over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah.
So you crossed the Century Club.
Across the same.
So that's the mark of a true jet setter, I would say. It's over 100 countries.
The thing is, it's not a lot of people who've really been past 50 because it's really hard to plan once you get to a certain point. But I don't know. I guess I just found myself at 100 or a little bit over 100.
Out of those 100, where's the one place where nobody else can really say they've been there? Like the most obscure country?
I would say maybe Myanmar or Burma.
Yeah.
That's
on my list. I wanted to go there.
That's kind of one of the unknown, and it's actually extremely cheap there. I know usually people look for cheap places to go. There's one place to go that's kind of unknown and it's extremely cheap.
Some would say dangerous.
No, not dangerous at all. Actually, I went to one of their temples there, and as soon as I got there, they just dressed me right away as if I was like one of the locals. So I felt super comfortable right away.
All right, nice. So hey, for those of you that are traveling with us to Thailand, that's a quick trip over to Myanmar. Yeah. Can you rate your top 5 countries?
Oh, top 5: Croatia would be number 1, Brazil would be number 2, Spain would be number 3. Go back south, Colombia, and then I'll say Australia would be number 5.
Australia, okay, got it. I've only been to a couple of those, but I'm glad you put Spain on the list because I love Spain. Yeah. Now we're gonna go through some airport strategy situations because you also have a background in. We'll tell people your background. Like, how did you get to 100 countries?
Oh, the main key, I'm sure a lot of people know, just working for any airline, specifically airlines that's based in the U.S. Just because you get bigger perks. I mean, I have friends that work for airlines that's outside the U.S., but they usually only give you specific perks. They usually don't give you like 100% of the travel perks. So I say working for a U.S. airline kind of gave me the key to kind of explore around. You can be flexible because you're booking yourself standby. Unfortunately, I mean, you are flying standby. You have to wait for an open seat. But it's not like you're booking a trip from A to B and you have to be back at this time. It's like you kind of have an open flight schedule. It's the easier way to put it.
Got it. So with that being said, baggage strategy. Let's talk baggage strategy because I know a lot of people that are traveling with our company are going to get totally screwed. They're going to end up paying a fine. How big? I don't know. It depends on the airline how big the fine is, but you're going to pay if your bag is too big, if you didn't pack right. So tell us how you pack. Someone who's traveled to 100 countries has a system. There's no way you don't have a system, right?
Right. So to be honest, the system is difficult because Since the pandemic, obviously these airlines want to make their money back. So no one has a bin dimension or a weigh scale at their house. So these airlines make it pretty difficult. So I would say ahead of time, just kind of look up. Well, I just look up the airline policy for baggage, kind of weigh out the dimension, kind of weigh out my bag to kind of see, okay, cool, I can kind of go it with a couple pounds here and there. And once you kind of meet or get used to these dimensions of these certain airlines that's real strict, then you get used to packing, say, 10 shirts, 5 pants. And once you get kind of used to that flow, then it's real easy after a while. You just kind of keep it rolling from then. And then if you're like a big packer, then you just have to spend big money because the airline's going to take a lot of money per bag. It's usually $90.
They're going to get you. Yeah.
So if you want to pack big, just have big money. That's it.
All right. Well, if you're traveling with our company, you're most likely trying to save money, and so you got to have that packing system down.
Right.
Brings me back to you, saving money. So what would you recommend to somebody to get into this travel hacking, which is what we call credit card mile accumulation? It's called travel hacking or credit card hacking, right?
A lot of people call it churning, just because you have a rotating, set of credit cards that you use. The main idea being, one, when you apply for new credit cards, get accepted for certain credit cards, you can have like bonuses that are based upon, a certain spend threshold. Usually be a few $1,000s within the first couple months of having the card. You have to meet that threshold in order to get the bonus points. So say for
it's a signing bonus.
Yeah, essentially, it's a signing bonus. So that's a great way to accumulate said points and then use those to either put towards a flight or in the event of COVID, a lot of people weren't flying. So what I did was redeem a bunch of those for just like gift cards spent during the time. But you bring up a great point as far as like saving money with miles and specifically for check bags. So one of the biggest things is if you know what airline you're flying or you know where you want to go and you know which card aligns with that, a lot of the airline cards will waive the first check bag fee. Sometimes, depending on the card and the airline, they'll waive the first two. If you're doing something that's domestic like Southwest, where the first one's free, but you can get the second one with the card. So definitely knowing where you want to go. Only because when you're booking rewards miles, you want to do it the sooner the better and further out the better. Sometimes there'll be last minute deals, but generally a lot of it is being able to plan ahead of time and know what you want to do. And then once you have your goal, you can plan around that accordingly.
Got it. And then so airport lounges. A lot of these credit cards will get you into these airport lounges, which I love them.
Yeah,
they make the airport experience. So tell us about that.
A lot of those or multiple airport lounges will be tied to some of the more premium cards. So you're looking at the higher end Amex or the higher end Capital One cards where you'll have multiple shared lounge groups you can experience. Just going back to specific airline partners cards, I know the United card has a deal where you get 2 free lounge passes.
I took advantage of that. 2 annual 2 lounge passes. Yeah.
Granted, that's one access. So if you're flying round trip, that'll either be going there or coming back, and not every airport does have a lounge. So definitely something you want to look up and check into before. But depending on the card, that's a great little benefit to make sure.
They're pleasant surprises, I would say, lounges. And just to paint the picture, it's kind of like going to a country club. It takes the stress of the airport away immediately. And then it's like free drinks, free food, the kind of chairs where you can like these. Yeah, you can lounge back. Yeah. And you feel like you're not in the airport anymore. But they do have a screen that shows all the flights. Do you mess around with airport lounges at all?
I don't, but since I work at the airport, I'm extremely familiar. Especially the let's say the Deltas. Say for example, JFK is managed by Delta. LAX mostly is managed by Delta. So it seems like they're making these new kind of lounges where it looks like you're at a hotel. It doesn't look like you go to the bar at one of the lounges, it looks like you're at a hotel. It's extremely big, extremely fancy. Everyone there is professional. And depending on your status with Delta, they would actually pick you up from the lounge and take you in one of their cars to your flight. You don't have to bother to walk to your flight. They literally escort you you and your bag straight to your flight. So that kind of depends on what type of status you have with
Very
airlines.
nice. Yeah. What is your cheap ticket strategy as a world traveler? How do you buy your airline tickets?
Cheap ticket, it really just depends on where I'm going.
Well, let's use
Because-
like for our jet set. We're going to Bali.
Okay.
We're going to Thailand. Yeah.
Okay, so-
what would you do?
But yeah, basically what I would do first, I would start off usually on Skyscanner because they give you the breakdown of cheap flights, not necessarily airline, just straight cheap flights. And if you're not comfortable with some of these airlines, then you can go ahead and shoot straight to the airline to see if that airline is within your budget. Because I know some people are dedicated this airline, that airline, but just off the bat, just a cheap ticket, I usually just go straight to Skyscanner.
Skyscanner.com.
Yeah, Skyscanner.com. I just go in there and I usually just filter out if I don't want connections or whatever, and then obviously put my price from low to high, and then just go from there.
Go from there. And then talk to us about transferring flights, because you were telling me the other day how these airlines are going to get you. They're going to book a flight that you can't make. They're setting you up for failure.
Okay, so
Right?
typically what I do is most important is if you're not flying directly, making a connection, you have to look at the map of that airport, right? Because say for example you land on the north side of the concourse and your flight is on the south side, you want to see how long is it going to take you, because if you only have an hour to make your connection and you say for example you don't have that big money, you're not sitting in first class, you're sitting all the way in the back of the plane, the last seat in the lavatory, right? It's gonna take you a while to get off that airplane. I usually calculate 25 minutes, a standard
Yeah.
airplane, getting off from the back, and then locating your gate if you don't do that ahead of time, and then you go from north to south. That probably take on average any airport usually 20 minutes. So you already burned 40 minutes. Depending on the airline, they're gonna cut you off at a certain time for you to get to the gate. Usually it's about 15 minutes. They give you a 3-minute window. They'll call your name. They'll close the flight, even though the plane is still sitting at the gate. So I would say try to go away from booking flights with a less than an hour and 20 minutes. It used to be a 1 hour. I do an hour and 20 minutes. If it's anything under than that, then I would have to either be sitting at the front of the airplane or I have to know the gates are right next to each other, which is not that common.
Is there any truth to the checking your bag in early versus being the last one to check your bag in? Like, does that make it easier or harder to get off? No.
Because the thing is, once you check that bag is out of your control.
Yeah.
So when you have your bag with you, you're carrying it on, and I'm taking my bag from point A to point B.
So you're carry-on only.
I mainly, unless I'm going direct, or if I have a long connection. If I have a short connection, I will only do carry-on.
Yeah.
I would try to throw it, because the thing is that if your bag is connecting under an hour, there's a high chance that your bag is going to get lost. Simple as that.
Yeah. Currency exchange.
Currency exchange is extremely just basic and simple. What you don't want to do is exchange your money as soon as you land at the airport. Luckily, I would say Uber operates now in a lot of countries, which saved me a lot of money, because instead of me landing at the airport, going to ATM, exchanging currency, now paying this taxi, right? Now I just land, okay, cool, this country has Uber, order Uber is usually more cheaper than a local taxi, and then I didn't have to exchange money yet. Now I can get myself down into the city, and usually the exchange places inside the city is way cheaper than exchanging at the airport. So usually use exchanging currency at the airport as like a last resort, if you really need to.
Got it.
Great tip.
No, just talking like airports in general. Mikey, you can get in on this one too, because I know you're a lounge guy. What is the best airport in the world that you guys have been to?
I haven't been to that many.
Maybe Singapore?
Compared to you.
Yeah.
Singapore was very, very clean. Granted, both my flights out of there were at night, so I didn't get to explore it too much. And was after the Trans-Pacific flight, which is always
I'm gonna go
amazing.
Singapore for me. That was the best airport I've ever been to, as you can see by my hat.
Let's go Singapore.
I got the
then.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Dude, they have a butterfly garden in their airport.
They
They have
do.
lounges even for regular people that don't do credit card hacking.
It's very
And then-
very green. It's
Yeah.
very nice.
And then duty-free shops. Oh my God. Yeah, it's the best.
How about you, man?
I would
Unless
say,
I'll
yeah.
defer to Pac. Yeah.
I would say the second, because you say it first. I'd say the second best would be Istanbul Airport, because when it comes down to connections, actually they offer scooters. This is the first time that I actually used it.
Okay, Singapore,
And it's-
you got some competition.
Yes, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
reasonably cheap. So they have signs everywhere. The thing is, a lot of airports lack is signage, and then sometimes the signage is confusing. So I would say at Istanbul Airport, the signage is very simple. It's basic. It kind of gives you a calculation of how long it takes to get from concourse A to concourse B.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
then,
That's
like I
nice.
said, they offer scooters. A lot of people weren't really using them.
Are they
Some
like
people
motorized or are they kick scooters? And
they're like the bird scooters you see like on the street.
oh snap!
Oh,
So
my
it's
God.
the same concept. You'll see the scooter sitting there.
Keep my kids out of that
You
airport.
you don't have to download the app. All the app is on the interface on right near the handlebars. So you just kind of just put your card information there, and it charges you per minute. So yeah, I was like, you know what? Let me check this out. I need to get from A to B. So grabbed the scooter, put my card information in, and I was zipping down the terminal.
You're like, Singapore has jumped to number 2 on the power rankings.
Yeah, they
But-
have food options everywhere. That's huge. A lot of people
Scooter
always,
drive-through?
yeah, like a scooter drive-through. A lot of people are always real picky when it comes to food at the airport. They want to eat this or that. They offered a lot. They have a lot of duty-free stores, which had real reason. It's like almost like a shopping mall
Yeah.
in there. But I really think the
I'm
bonus
duty-free
is a
guy.
scooter because I've been to more than 100 airports. But I would say that one was the most convenient and friendly when it comes to connecting flights if you're brave enough to ride a scooter inside the terminal.
I am.
Without running
With
anyone
those
over.
wax floors.
Right.
I feel like both of you put together would be an unstoppable force, by the way. Like, you need to get into on this credit card hacking game a little bit stronger, I
Right.
think. So when you start getting your first credit cards, I think there's no debate. It's you start with the Chase cards. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think only because they can be the most restrictive. Most of the companies will have rules about how many cards you can apply for in a certain amount of time, and just you know, overall, you don't want to have 10s or 20s of cards and sink your credit. So you want to keep a good cadence. Chase specifically has a rule about applying for more than 5 cards in a 2-year period, and that's 5 personal cards across 2 years for not just Chase cards but any card. So if you're getting hard inquiries for credit card applications, and once you're over that threshold of 5, whether you're approved or not, Chase is going to deny everything after that.
Yeah.
So that's a big rule. One of the other ones is applying for more than 2 within 90 days. If you do that, same deal. You're going to get declined and knocked down regardless of your credit score, how many lines of credit you have already, your business relationship with Chase. So definitely something you want to keep in mind.
And with the miles, it's all about the bonus, the sign-up bonus, and how much money you have to spend on the card to get the sign-up bonus. If there's not a big bonus, I wouldn't mess with the card.
Yeah.
Even if there's a big annual fee, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. And one thing to keep in mind is that the offer that's there today isn't going to be the offer 3 months from now. So
They vary wildly.
If it's a great offer, that can be, you know, more incentive to apply for a card. If it's an all-time high offer, obviously something you might want to jump on. But if it's been higher before and you're in no rush to fly a certain airline or accumulate a certain amount of points, there is no rush to jump into a card or make that commitment or that spend. Chase cards, most of their cards have in their terms that you qualify again for the sign-up bonus after 48 months, so 4 years from when you're approved for the card the first time, which is great. Unlike
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so unlike other cards like Amex, where if you get an Amex card, you get that sign-up bonus, you can never get it again in your lifetime. So if you get the Amex Delta Gold Sky Miles card once, even if it's been 4 years, you don't have the card, you canceled it, 10 years from now, you try and sign up again, you'll get the card, but you will not get that sign-up bonus. So something to be cognizant of.
Yeah, so wait for the good deals on those. So, like, you're not even going to get a website click from me if it's less than 70K.
Yeah,
I mean, what's your
Don't get out
threshold?
of bed unless
Yeah, I don't get out of bed for less than 70K. Not talking dollars, folks.
Exactly.
I'm not that successful yet. All right, so, and then the other thing, so start with the Chase cards just because they have the restrictions, nobody else does. And then 70K miles or more.
Yeah.
And then the other thing,
One of the good things to note is that, and kind of going back to that whole 524 rule, is they don't really include business card applications in there. So if you're applying for a card for your business, whether it be under the name of the business or sole proprietorship, that won't count against that overall 524 total. So you can apply for business cards. You can apply for multiple Chase business cards, albeit I wouldn't apply for more than one in like a 2-month period. But that's a great way also to kind of up your balance, up your threshold of points. And then if you have a business name, an official business name that's incorporated, an employee tax ID number, you can use that to apply. Or if you don't, you can apply under a sole proprietorship, but be ready in case they ask you for like operating expenses and certain numbers if it does get put under further review.
which leads me to my next point, is you should start a business and get these business points.
Yeah.
You know, because you have a wealth of knowledge, and it needs to be shared with the regular people like me.
Nice.
What would you call it?
Oh, I can't see where you're looking. You look at me.
Oh, both of you. No, both of you should start a business. Yeah.
No, very true. I actually have a couple business cards under sole proprietorship for
Just to get cards.
well, yeah. And for a side business, it was a lot easier maybe a few years ago than it is now. Now they ask for more proof of that. That isn't to say I didn't have a side business or proof of income for that side business, but something to keep in mind if you are. So, business name, I don't know. I might have to take a rain check
do you
on that one.
If I had a travel business, I would call it just travel, because that's what you want to do.
Just travel.
Just travel. It's real simple. Traveling is something that a lot of people think about. So once you hear that phrase, just travel, it just kind of just make you want to just go. Whatever you got, just take it and go.
The beauty's in the simplicity.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah, I
hearing
like
this
it.
until he's got time to incorporate and everything, right?
Yeah.
Lock the name up.
Incorporate it. Get that Chase business card.
Yeah,
Come on.
there you go.
Yeah. How do you keep track of all this stuff? Do you have spreadsheets? Excel sheets or what?
So there's a lot of tools online, things people have made. I can send you a link to a copy of an Excel sheet tracker that I use, which is super convenient. You can put in the card. It already has multiple tabs and sheets in there that gives you like a ballpark of what your redemption rate is, and it'll also track in there. You know, you can input when you apply for a card, what type of models it is, how long you have to hit your spending threshold to get your bonus. You can track things like the annual fee, and then if your credit
Cancel
card,
it.
yeah, exactly. And then if you are churning with a partner or spouse, and they're applying for similar cards, you can track that all in one place, make it more effective.
And each credit card gives you an option, like, do you want to add your spouse on this card? No. Put no, because what you want is them to get the signing bonus too, and to click on your affiliate link, and then you will get an extra 10,000 miles or so to send them a link. So don't put your wife or husband on your card.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big misconception, is that
try to get
you
you
might
that way.
double a bonus by adding somebody as an authorized user, which if you have kids in their teens or something, could be a great way to build their credit. Otherwise, you have people that are qualify on their own that want the same card or would use the same card. Definitely recommend using a referral link that you have. Chase has a referral page based on the cards that you already have. A lot of the other credit card issuers have something similar. Another great thing about those referral links is sometimes they'll generate new offers or higher offers that you would find otherwise just on the regular sign-up pages. So that's another great way to kind of up that bonus and just be able to expand.
Now, Pac, being in 100 countries, there must have been one moment when you were totally screwed. What is the moment when you were the most screwed in another country and you didn't know if you're gonna be okay?
Man, it was when I flew to Beijing, China. Because the thing is, traveling so much it's like anything else you do. You become a little bit complacent. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I got this.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously at a certain point that was me. I'm like, cool, I got this. All of a sudden, and especially landing at nighttime. I'm usually for some reason landing at nighttime, especially flying to the Asian countries, depending on the time I leave or whatever. So get to Beijing at nighttime. I'm like, cool, I got this. Take the train from the airport. As soon as I get to the city, I see motorcycles riding around, no lights on, cars with no headlights on, and I'm like playing dodgy road with these cars and motorcycles. So I'm like,
Frogger.
okay. Yeah. So I finally get across the street. Now I need to find out where I'm staying, right? The address is in English, but they don't have the English characters. So I'm showing someone, hey, you know what this is? And they're just looking at me like, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm asking multiple people, how do I get to my accommodation? No one was able to help me out. And I just started to figure out, like, you know what? A lot of their signs in their characters, their language, right? Another thing, now I have to exchange money. I go to ATM, it spits my card out. And after the third ATM, of course, now you're like, okay, if I put my ATM card in one more ATM, it's not gonna work. It's gonna get stuck, right? So now you're kind of building that feeling. So I'm like, you know what am I gonna do? So finally, I made it to my accommodation, and I'm like, okay, now I need to grab some money, right? So I'm thinking, I'm just gonna be smart about this. Let me just look up the ATM that my bank allows me to use. And it was one that was extremely far away. Now I have to take a taxi to get over there. I'm showing the taxi like a smart guy, and he's like, look, shaking his head. I had to get out, and I had to start walking. I ended up going down this dark alley at nighttime. I'm the only one walking down this dark alley. I finally get to the ATM, finally put my card in, and this is one sound I'll never forget. The sound of the money counting coming out. Because I felt relief at that point because I already tried 3 or 4 ATMs. At this time, it's about 1 a.m., right? I think I landed about 10 p.m. So I haven't eaten at least for about 3-4 hours. And you know what happens when you don't eat, get a little irritated.
Yeah, you're hangry.
So, yeah. So I put my card in. I'm like, please don't let my card get stuck inside. I didn't know how much currency to take out this point. I'm like, I'm just going to take out a little bit. All of a sudden, like I said, I will never forget that sound. I heard the ATM machine counting the money, and it spits it out. I was extremely happy, even though it was like 1:30 in the morning. I was the only one on these dark roads of Beijing. So I would just say the reason why it was difficult because the simplest things became hard, right? Just crossing the street became hard.
Yeah.
Asking simple questions for directions became hard. It's like, to them, yes, English is a foreign language to them. I'm showing them address in English. They don't know what this is, right? I was brave enough to keep putting my card inside these ATM machines because I think an average person after the second ATM machine, you're like, nah, I'm in a whole nother country, I have no cash, and if your card gets stuck, you're screwed, right? And this is before we had Apple Pay.
You'd
on
still
our
be
phone.
there today.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is before we had.
What app do you use for translations when you're in countries?
I just use a basic one that is on an Apple phone, but the thing is, sometimes when you're landing late, you don't know that you're not aware that you're a little bit tired, maybe jet lag, and you didn't just wake up and you just had coffee, you're thinking straight. You're not. You just got off of maybe 20-hour flight. You probably didn't sleep on the plane. You probably had some crappy food on the plane. So you're not thinking clearly like, oh, let me just translate this. You're like, your mindset as a traveler is, where is this? I need to get there.
You're like those people in Death Valley, they don't have water and they just walk in a circle until they die, you know?
Yeah.
When the road's 20 feet away.
Yeah.
So I always tell people that would be the most difficult part of traveling for me because everything that would have been easy otherwise anywhere else, it seemed extremely hard. Just getting money and getting to a location was hard. It took me about 4 hours to do all that.
Got it. Travel visas. You have advice, because especially to those of you traveling with us to Thailand and Bali, you gotta check for travel visas because this is not something that the airline is going to take care of for you, and you got to do your research a little bit. So tell us a little bit about those.
I would say number one, I'll give you a backstory on how I started to research on visas, because the thing is, when you Google all the top passports that you don't really need visas to go to all these different countries, I believe US is ranked maybe less under the top 5. I think the top passport for visa-free travel, I think, is like the Norwegian passport, I think. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, my US passport is good. I don't need to go. I need a visa anywhere. I'm just traveling.
Yeah.
So me and my buddy, we were in Bangkok, Thailand, and we were working for the airline, and we're like, cool, we can literally just look at the board and just pick a destination and go. So that's how we were traveling. Our goal was to fly around the globe. Average person fly A to B. They go back and forth. They don't fly around.
Yeah.
So we wanted to challenge ourselves and do that. But smart guys, we were new travelers at the time, we didn't know about visa. So working for the airline, we can buy any ticket without a visa. right? It's real easy. We go to the counter to check in and we were going to go to New Delhi, India. And they're like, do you have a visa? We're like, visa? We don't need a visa. Like, yeah, you do. So at that point, that's when I started to now research, okay, being a U.S. passport holder, where do I need a visa? So to get a good idea of where you need a visa is you would type in, say, U.S. passport Wikipedia. You go on Wikipedia, and with the U.S. passport, it will show you from A to Z which countries you need a visa, which ones you don't, and it will tell you if it's electronic, if it's on arrival, or you need to go to an embassy or a consulate, whatever. That's so you get a general idea. Now, how do you get that visa? Sometimes it will tell you a general link on Wikipedia. It will tell you like, okay, go to this website. But some websites you can't be trusted. So I usually use travel.state.gov. I usually use that website, and it usually gives you a breakdown of what do you need entering. You click on a tab that says entry and exit, and it'll tell you what do you need to enter, what do you need to exit, right? How long is your free visa? Like, for example, some parts of Europe, you get a visa for 90 days. Can you get an extension? It'll tell you all of that. And then if it's a country that you need a visa, it will tell you, okay, here's their site. You click on it. And then also now, for example, countries like Australia where we don't get stamped, you don't get a stamp anymore on U.S. passport. They have now an app where you can download it and you can get your visa on there, and usually take less than 72 hours.
Okay, nice. Wow. Thailand though is a visa country, so if you're watching, you have to get one. Right? What is that website again?
You just go travel.state.gov, and then you type in whatever. I mean, worst case scenario, you just tap on a link that says countries. You look for whatever country you go to, and then you go to entry exit. It'll show you.
Don't go to some random Thai website. All right.
And also
the .gov you can trust.
Right. Yeah. And then still do your homework and cross-reference, because sometimes visas are free depending on how long you're staying. For example, when I went to Beijing, they had a transit visa, meaning if you're there for less than 72 hours, I believe at that time it was free. You didn't need to pay for a visa if you're there less than 72 hours, right? Ooh. Where some places, if you're there for a month, then you need to pay for a visa. But some places, if you really do your homework and you really dig into some of these places, you'll need a visa, but it's a visa. You can apply for the visa free if you're there less than whatever they designate, 72 hours, less than 3 months, less than 5 days. Every country is different. If they want to look it up, they can save money and get it for free if they're only there for a couple of days.
Okay. All right. Well, now's the fun part of the interview. So you have this gentleman right here. He has 700, 800,000 credit card miles, so he can go anywhere he wants. Tell him what to do with his miles. You know, from a person that's been everywhere. Where does he start?
A lot of miles, I would go far. Because the thing is, we have Mexico south, we have Canada north. So if I had a lot of miles, equals a lot of money, I'm not going to go close. Usually the furthest part from LA on the map is, say, Maldives or India. It's on the complete other side. I'm not sure if your miles can get you business class, but if you can fly business class for maybe like 10-hour leg, 5-hour leg, it will be a good experience. Yeah. So I would book somewhere in Asia, say for example, Sri Lanka or Maldives, where you're gonna go somewhere nice, you're gonna go somewhere far where it's actually gonna feel like you're on vacation. And with those miles, hopefully you can book that nice seat so you can sit comfortable the whole time and eat good the whole time.
Yeah, so Maldives, what do you think?
That sounds good, yeah.
We booked it for you. We just didn't tell you this.
Just be prepared for the long
Is the ticket under the seat?
It's under his hat.
Yeah, on courtesy of Jetset.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, anything else we need to get to, guys? What I want to do is use you as a correspondent. So when you're in these countries, you pipe in for a quick Zoom call. Give us the report on the travels and your strategy and all that kind of stuff. And then I also want to hear how you're spending these miles. Now that you have a little freedom.
Yeah, I'll have to key you in on the redemption rates.
Yeah, and like I said, both of you put together, there's got to be some kind of a business here because you could help so many people out there.
Right.
Yeah, that don't know what they're doing. Yeah. So hopefully this is the spark that ignites that flame.
Nice.
All right. The one thing, tell people where they can find some information on the credit card hacking or the churning. You know, like as a resource, some basic sort of thing.
There's a ton of people that either do it as influencers or have like advice columns on it. The big thing is going to be know where you want to go and kind of what your base airport is, who the big airlines are that operate out of it, and then that can guide you to make more informed decisions. But I would pull that information. So you have the bigger ones like the Points guy.
Yeah, he's a good starter. Like to get your first few cards.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. There's a couple big blogs like that. Internet forums. So there's travel forums. Obviously, TripAdvisor's one of the bigger ones. Reddit's huge. There's a subreddit on there called Churning, which, as far as places to start, is awesome.
Next level people.
They have a whole FAQ, and they actually have a flow chart that can basically guide you through the first couple of cards you want to get based on what you want to do.
I'll try to find that and put the link in this video.
I'll shoot it to you. I have it pretty handy, but I would say that's probably the best place to start. There's also like community feedback on there. So if you put what cards you already have, people will give you feedback and kind of advice on what the next card you want to target is based on, what you want to do. If you want to travel, what airport you're going out of, where you want to go. So
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And Pac, I asked you your worst story. Let's close out. Tell us your best travel experience, or you could say, what have you learned going to all these countries? Like, what value has it brought to your life, or close it on something positive.
I would say the most beneficial thing I've gotten from travel, that's how I made it to so many countries, is just the people. It's like, we live in LA. It's a lot of people that live here. But for some reason, it seems like whenever I travel, I feel like more connected to these people. Because say, for example, I have Filipino friends here. If I go to the Philippines, I feel like, wow, I'm more connected because I know about their culture more. I see it more. It's not what I assume now. It's not what I see on
agree,
TV.
100%.
Is you're actually there. For example, I remember in elementary school, we were studying, say, for example, Egypt. When I went to Egypt for the first time, it's like, okay, all this stuff came out the pages. It came to me. It makes everything more valuable as opposed to just, okay, I kind of seen it before or I read it somewhere. It's like once you get there, like all your senses are activated, where you feel it, you smell it, you taste it, and it just make it that much better.
Mm-hmm. And then best travel story or most positive experience, like the peak Pac travel.
I would say, for me, I like countries that are hospitable. So, for example, I usually try my best if I have time to spend at least a month in Croatia in the summertime. So. In the span of 4 months, I stayed at different Airbnbs, different cities, and they showed extreme hospitality. It was like, I stayed at one place, the host was bringing us food, right? She told us that we need our clothes to be washed, put in the basket. She washed our clothes.
Mikey likes that.
I was on the island in Croatia. I was going out with my buddies for Yacht Week. I needed to look nice, so I didn't want to go out with a wrinkled shirt. So I asked the host, "Hey, do you have an iron?" She not only came down with the iron, I was in the bathroom changing, showering. I came out, she was ironing my shirt that I had on the bed. I'm like, okay, well, that's nice, right? It's like they show extreme,
gratitude,
everything. And then one of the last things I remember was I had to check out of one Airbnb, check into another one. So the host, she came there to clean up, inspect the place, and she saw me on my app trying to book it, and then she's like, hey, you know what, if the other Airbnb isn't going to check you in soon, sometimes you have a later check-in, whatever. She's like, I can just stay there until I was able to check, which is nice, because instead I would have been wandering around the city with my luggage, right? So she made it a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable to make that transition, and with all these stories, they didn't have to do that, and for me, it just made it that much easier. So I like to usually spend every summer there because you kind of, I don't want to tell anybody to expect that, but just know that it's there.
Yeah. Well, Croatia's your number one, right?
Right, it's number one. It's not something that I expected. It was just like, oh, this is nice.
All right. So the Pac Power rankings, we're gonna update you on those. They may change. They may. It looks like Croatia's in the top spot right now, but it looks like second, third, fourth. There's a little bit of movement there, possibly. So Spain, step up your game. See if you can get up to number 2. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Good advice. And then put in the comments, any questions you have for these guys. I'll send it on to them, and I appreciate it. And there's more to come from you guys, I hope.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
And then
likewise.
as far
Thanks
as
for having us.
those of you watching the Jetset channel, registration's still open. Bali, Bali and Thailand, and of course, 2024. We have a lot of things in the works, and we can't announce it right now. But follow us on the social media, and we'll keep you updated as soon as they're released. And then you can join the Jetsetters mailing list. You'll get first dibs on these classes before they sell out. All right.
Awesome.